2019 PGA show. Jim McCleary, golf with Mr. John of Wilson, head of R&D, and we're going to talk about the D7. We're going to talk about the D7 series that's been released by Wilson and some other new stuff that if you're on Twitter, you may have heard of yesterday. So, D7. I got one of these in the shop not too long ago, and it is a beauty, right? And what it is, it is a departure from the D line in that the D line used to have more of the hybridish kind of look to it. Well, now it's got a really good looking iron look to it. So those guys that are more traditionalists looking for that extra distance will really kind of gravitate towards these. In fact, I do have a question from a subscriber for you.
Perfect.
All right. So we're going to let John talk about what he did in order to get to this design, and then we're going to move on to some other stuff. And we'll go from there.
Well, the D7 iron, like anything else, it's all about distance. That D in D7 is distance. And what we're trying to do, when we think back to the start of what this project is find a great looking club that appeals to the broadest group of players that we can. So that's players of all ability, and all types, and you get sometimes a very traditional look. But it is a distance iron, so we have to focus on the distance. We get distance in two ways. One, we've got power holes. Power holes in the sole now, just the sole of the club, which is a departure from where we've been in the past. And this is the area that has the greatest need and greatest focus and the greatest result for helping to deliver that ball speed.
So the question is going to be, what do the power holes do to give you that distance?
Well, the power holes in conjunction with a very thin face allow that face and whole system to flex, and it increases the contact time of the golf ball to the face. And what does that mean? It just means that the ball releases much faster, you get a better energy return, and just like a driver, a contact time in the face, we are delivering a much better ball speed, a much greater result, and a lot greater distance for that player.
Because ball speed equals distance. That's what it really boils down to. You get the best contact you can, best ball speed ends up going, and that ends up being basically the furthest club. Now what we did see is that you just saw a 7 that had the 3 power holes, and I've got one that's the gap wedge, and it only has one set. Why did we switch?
Well, it's a progressive nature. Our 4, 5, 6, 7 irons have the 3 rows. That is the biggest premium on distance that people have. And the biggest challenge for long irons is often getting that ball speed and forgiveness up in the air to get that ball hitting as far as you want it to go. As we move to those shorter irons, the scoring clubs, it's less about the absolute distance and more about knowing how far you're going to hit it. They are still long, but there's a much greater premium in accuracy, so that you can hit it to maybe an area of the green or hit it closer to the pin and try to get that birdie chance or maybe that easy 2-putt.
Now the other part is that these are accompanied with hybrids, right?
They sure are.
And so how does the hybrid fit into the set?
Well, you can either swap out a 3 and 4 hybrid or 3, 4, 5 into the set just to help even added launch angle, added forgiveness, and maybe pick up a little distance for a lot of players. So that's certainly an option that gets put into this set.
Okay, and it's going to be coming standard with the Recoil 460. And if you take a look at it, it's got the new kind of smoky-like paint job on it. And the Recoil has been an excellent iron shaft for a couple of years running now.
It's been fantastic. It was a perfect partner with UST to have have the Recoil in this product. A great name, great performance. Probably still the most well-known and best performing iron shaft that we've had from a graphite perspective. So yeah, couldn't have picked a better shaft for it.
When they first released it, we got on it. We're a tour spec dealer too, and man, these things go.
Right.
They just really go. All right, so here you go. So Paul Van Fleet, a subscriber, wanted to know what is the true difference between the D300 and the D7, other than the shape.
Well, let's not discount the importance of the shape. The shape is a huge thing. One of the things that I would say, there's a design element, and then there's the engineering functional element. And from a design perspective, we wanted to reduce the top line thickness. So the D300 had power holes in the top line.
Yes, it did.
So while that was a good feature to have. It did not necessarily appeal to as many players, and some people found it distracting. And,
that's what I was going to say.
And power holes, in the top line, we like them, but they're not necessarily providing as much function as when you have a multi-roll option in the sole of the club. So we got rid of that, and that helped. That was like step one of improving the look of the club. And then, if you think of what D300 is, it had very large heel and toe weight features visually on the back of the club.
Right.
And now that was a visual interpretation. That was a good high MOI construction. But because of how we use the weight here, this actually has a higher MOI. There's actually more weight to the heel and toe of the D7 than there was in the D300. So we have a more forgiving club, a longer club, and just an all-around better club than what we've got.
So nothing but improvements from the Wilson staff people, right? Ever since Jon's been on board, I'm here to tell you it's been logarithmically better. All right, you can see it in the product that's being released. So let's talk about some woods. All right, so D7, keeping on with the theme, D7 drivers, fairway woods, hybrids. All right, again, I had one of these and I just did a fitting with Eric, and we went through these, and the look of this club at address is nothing short of spectacular, right? Very clean, got little blue accents at the top, enough to get you to be able to kind of mold where the ball is going to be, right? And first one right out of the box, I let him hit the wood, and he smoked it. And it comes with the helium shaft, again from UST, and just smoked it. And with that level of confidence, we handed him the driver, and I just put a lightweight aftermarket shaft in there, and he killed it again. So the thing that came out about this one was the sound. The sound was just totally different. Very, very confidence-giving is the way I was considering it, and talking with Jon, that's what we were talking. That's what they put a premium on when they were to go to design this.
Yeah. So the start of the entire D7 line was let's look at base model shapes from scratch. We're looking to have the best possible shape for the broadest spectrum of players. It's similar to what we did in the iron, and we just started over with a good shape. So we're thinking about that consumer experience. We want them to pick that club off the shelf, set it on the ground, and like what they see. And that's the start of where the shapes came for the driver, the fairways, and the hybrids. And then once you do that, you think of the next step of the journey is going to the simulator or going to the driving range and hitting shots. And one of the critical aspects of that is sound. So probably the most noticeable feature of the driver is this composite crown that we have. It is actually a sandwich layer of 3 layers of composite. There's a layer of carbon, a layer of Kevlar, which is really critical, and then the weave on top that you see, and it all produces a great structure. The Kevlar is an inspiration that came from our tennis group, and our tennis players, Roger Federer, playing a pro staff racket that has Kevlar built into the racket. And the reason for that is vibration dampening. So we took that inspiration and we put that here. That crown faces the consumer. That is the first piece of sound you hear when you hit a club. And so we found let's explore that. Let's find a way to make that sound as clean, crisp as possible. So a lot of work went into the sound to enjoy that experience.
Now, if you can, I don't know if we can get it in here, but if you can see, there you go. See there, you get to see the weave on the top. So it does give it a design element that's very pleasing to the eye, and from watching Eric hit it, it's also pleasing to the ear, right? And the final most important, it still goes.
Yeah.
Right? It still goes. So that's really, you're not losing anything by taking a look at this. Again, it's a lighter head, lighter shaft, lighter grip. The idea is more swing speed, right? And more swing speed, more ball speed, more distance. Again, from my viewpoint, it's like get fit, get all that right, and it's just going to be a weapon, right? It's going to be a weapon, and that's what we want. Match it up with either one of these, or a combination of the two, and you've got something that's going to last you for a while. And as telling Mr. Jon here is that, the struggling part of Wilson has always been that part right there, what you go to see. It's gone. This is nothing but top notch right there, top notch. So if you get a chance, if you're not, if you can't come by me for sure, go find yourself a Wilson guy and take a look at these, because these are it's a serious golf club to go check out. Now, we're going to revisit one more. No visit to the Wilson booth would be done without the driver versus driver winner, the Cortex. Now, I've already done a review of that. It'll be over there. All right, no, it'll be over here. That's my other phone. So, whichever side. And, you know, this thing performs, right? I did the testing. We got it out there and it hit. The ball speed is there. The sound is there. You know, and the funny, we're just talking about the length. And length is really, really close, too. There's not going to be a lot of changing when you get this. But the funny part is, during all the episodes, I kept telling I was wearing out my rep every time the sun would come on here. But the design process to get to this is really what I'm really interested in. That's a good one.
Well, the journey of driver versus driver, you saw it on TV, and there was even some more added things behind the scenes that happened that, but that is the real life world of what we were trying to do. We start with an idea. That idea that Evan had initially was the minimal amount of titanium, put the titanium only where the functional surfaces are needed, where the structure is needed, and then cover the rest in carbon. So there's like 44% of the surface area here is carbon composite structure. And that allows us, frees up some weight, frees up some functionality to have a slide track, a very intuitive way to adjust the launch angle and spin rate of the club. And then we have some weights in the heel and toe to help direct the left and right tendencies of what the club is. And we have an adjustable shaft to fine-tune the launch angle a little bit more as we have a 3-degree range of loft. And then all of that is on top of this Fujikura Atmos shaft family that we have. The red shaft being a higher launch, higher spinning club, the blue mid-launch mid-spin, and the black the low launch. And then finding that right shaft. So what we have is a very customizable, adjustable product that's intuitive, easy to manipulate, and can really help a lot of players fit their game.
And the thing here, you get to look at it, and when we broke it down pretty good in the video, where you have the 8-grammer and you have an 8 gram in the top, and you have a 2 gram in the bottom, because it's toe heavy, or it's draw bias. So this kind of evens that out. And if you really needed to turn it over, you could always flip it around. And a 6-gram change is what I would call a medium-large kind of change as far as weight goes. And the thing just works, right? It just works. And it's a beautiful club. It can fit in most everybody's bag. And I just like the polished chrome accent that just tells everybody, and then the black chrome that's on it. It just sets everything up. And you could look right at it and go, oh yeah, I know how to work this, right? And that's the best part of it. You can just tell everybody to work that. So there it goes. That was the good one. So last but not least, we released it yesterday, or you released it yesterday.
Yes.
What did we have one out? All righty. Last but not least, the latest release, Brendan Steele, Gary Woodland. Everybody loves a blade, right? Everybody loves a blade. Blades are sexy. Unfortunately, I don't have the skill sets to hit one of these, but they are gorgeous. So how did we come up with this? What were the changes that we did from last time to this one?
Well, we had the FG Tour 100 product that goes back probably about 4 to 5 years right now, and Brendan Steele was playing that club for a long period of time. So about 2 years ago, we sat down with him, started talking about that. What would he like to see in a new blade? And the first thing he was, well, hold on, don't do anything crazy. I really like what I've got here, so we need to retain a lot of the character and the sizing and the functionality of what that is. But as we get into the subtleties, there's a little bit of a camber difference and a little bit of the shape of the top line difference to provide a little bit of added feedback or added specificity of what Brendan wants to play and wants to see. And so once we did that, we delivered this product here, and that was the development side. And then the proof in the pudding, Gary Woodland was the first guy to put these into play in the tournament.
Could you believe that? With Gary right out of the box, killing it, right? Greens in regulation and just slamming it. So yeah, he can't. And what shaft was he playing in there? Because it was flash.
I think it's a KBS. It's a KBS variant.
Yeah, he was having a PVD finish on there. It just made it outstanding. It made it stand out. Is what it made it do.
Well, it provided stood out, put a lot of attention behind us, and his performance with it was unbelievable. And that is, just a great boost to how we want to launch a product, and probably hasten the launch of what we were trying to do because of the success he had, and it was so good right out of the gate.
So we have a thinner sole, very good radius that's on it. All right, it's got a slightly, from a blade blade aspect, kind of a higher toe, you know, but it's still good looking. The bore through has come back, right? The old staff bore through look to it. Yeah, and then just this super clean look right here. Now I've seen some on the internet where is that milled in there? Or is that a badge?
It's a medallion badge that goes on top. It's just a small little pocket for an added little detail.
Okay.
But very minimalist. You know, the very clean, simple lines for a lot of products is the way of the blade and the way of a lot of products are going. So just keep it clean, keep it simple, and let the club stand for itself.
Very good. Well, John, thank you so much for allowing me to come in.
My pleasure.
Okay, guys, check out Wilson. Go to the website, find a fitter, go find a dealer, and let's see your scores go low.